welcome back to Sportsbeat. Today is March 15th, and this is episode 36. Today I am recording from my home studio at Fort Drumm here in Mohawk, and back in the My Little Falls podcast studio, we have the man who, because of inflation, has raised his 2 cents to a quarter, our producer, Dave Warner. What's going on?
I thought that was you.
Yeah, I know, but I saw that you liked it, and I figured that was kind of funny, so I figured, why not?
Yeah, I've always been at a quarter. I've always been high dollar, high maintenance.
Your time is more important.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm going to up those rates.
I think that we've got spring here, though. That's a good thing. I think spring is here to stay, maybe. I'm hopeful.
You know, in the long range, I didn't see anything really bad. You know, I mean, I didn't see a lot of sunshine, but it's warm out there. It's 56 right now. Snow is melting, so we're good.
My neighbor probably thought that I was an ass. Well, I mean, he probably does anyway, but.
Well, most of the people who listen to this think that, but
I'm sure.
We don't fault them for that. You know?
No, we want them to listen, to enjoy. But I shoveled off the front of my driveway, but did not do a really good job. And the guy was like, yeah, out here shoveling. I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be in the 40s and 50s next week. It's going to be gone. And my front driveway and his front driveway now look the same. So
yeah, hell of a deal.
Yeah. And in other news, I just saw as we were coming on that the Senate is getting rid of or keeping with daylight savings time. So we might never ever have to switch the clocks again. That would be nice.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So are they going to leave it?
Yes.
In daylight? Okay. So in other words, we're going to have the light later in the day, but it won't get light until like 9 a.m. in the morning during the winter.
Pretty much. Yeah. The earliest or the latest sunrise, I think, if I saw Bill Cardis had posted something and he'd said like 8:45 would be the latest that sunrise would happen.
Jeez.
But
I was just guessing at 9 o'clock. I mean,
yeah, 15 minutes off. So
I was 15 minutes off.
It'll be cool to see that. So
no, it won't.
Well.
No, I mean, winter. If you have to get up at 5 a.m. and it's 4 hours before you see any daylight, that's like a mid shift, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
yeah, it's the very Alaska of us.
Yes. So. I like it. I'm tired of that. The damn thing causes a whole loss of productivity, and the animals get screwed up and everybody's screwed up. We were complaining about it today down at the cafe at Stone Mill, you know?
We have a couple people that walked in late to church and realized that the time went back, and it's just those little things that it's that one day a year. There's no point.
Yep.
Well, we are
2 days a year. 2 days.
Oh, right. Because you lose
fall
and
back.
You gain.
And then you know, whatever.
I did like that extra hour of sleep though sometimes, but oh well, yeah. I'll sacrifice it to be fine.
Yeah, sleeping.
Yeah. So this week with all the breaks going on, we're kind of in between seasons, except a couple, which we'll cover in the high school part of the press box here. So we're going to just jump right into that. So while most of the region is done with basketball, the New Hartford boys basketball continue their season. They were in action over the weekend at Hudson Valley Community College to face off against Maple Christian Academy. The winner of that game was going to punch a ticket to the state Final Four. Spartans were down early and turned it around. Durr had a career high, and I believe that was a game high as well of 18 points. Kind of watched a little bit of it as it went along and definitely got towards the end there. With 12 seconds to go, the Christian Academy tied it up at 47. Spartans called a timeout. They obviously need a basket to move the game in their direction, or they were going to force overtime. And it was the coolest shot I think I've seen in a really long time. Colin Karowski it goes behind him over the back, and it drops in just about at the buzzer, and they win the game 49-47 to advance as regional champs. They improve 23-2 on the year. They head to Glens Falls on Saturday. So just a really cool shot to see. And I mean, they went crazy, and New Hartford, a little out of our Valley region that we cover here, but they're still in action and moving on.
I thought you were gonna say, you know, coach, I know what to do. I watch a lot of Sling TV, half court, hook shot. No.
Yeah,
that's where I thought you were going with that.
even Kareem, who perfected the hook shot, wouldn't agree with me on that one. Sticking with high school, West Canada Valley Indians faced off against Newfield Trojans in the Class D regionals. And the Indians were down by 4 at the break. And then in the third, it was all Trojans as they turned down the Jets. At one point, I think West Canada was trailing by 20 or 25, trying to keep up on the box score. It didn't work as well as I thought it would. But West Canada looked like they battled back. They closed the lead a little bit. And then it was when you got a 20-point in the bottom end of the game, it's not going to usually go your way unless you get a couple of miracles here. So the final score was 75-62 Newfield. And then Waterville girls were in action as well. The Indians hosted Newark at their home gym for the regionals on Sunday. Waterville got out early, but then it was Newark Valley just put the full court press on them, and they just smothered any type of offense. Waterville tried to battle back, but stifling full court press, you're done. Final score there was 57-30. So, some local schools still in action. Best of luck to New Hartford as they move through, and we're definitely picking up. I know I've seen all over the place. People are doing spring training for high schools, spring sports. They're doing like the preseason of baseball and softball. And
I saw softball on the schedule here for next week, I think it was. And I was like, oh, it's going to be muddy. But you didn't mention OESJ.
What did I miss on OESJ?
They're going to the playoffs in Glens Falls this weekend. Travis's team. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to them. I have been scouring the news, and since I'm home, I watch the news almost every night, and I have no idea how the hell I missed that one.
Yeah, you missed that one, man. They won this weekend. I forgot the score, but move it on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, when we hopefully we can get Travis on in a couple of weeks here to talk about Diamond Dogs, and we can apologize. Well, I can apologize then and ask him about the season.
You apologize because I knew about it.
Yeah. Well.
I'm gonna see if I can.
I will give you a lot of credit. You are doing good with keeping up with sports lately. I am proud of you.
NASCAR this weekend. Watch the Phoenix and run there. Okay, let's see. So what do they got here? So it's the regional final boys. This was the game this weekend that they won.
So they're going up to Glens Falls as well.
So they went to Glens Falls. Yeah.
I know they're not. I know New Hartford is not playing. Well, no, because it would be within class and then section roundup. So New Hartford's class A, I believe. So OESJ are they C or D?
Well, this says this is a D.
So they're going to class D. So they'll play section 5, 6.
I don't know.
It's weird how it goes in. I always thought that they should draw straws because, like, when Herkimer wanted the Dome, we always go down to Binghamton, and those schools always roll up, and no matter who goes out. It would be interesting to see if they started pulling, straws to draw section play section for the next round. But that's. Jumping into college, Colgate's men hockey forced the deciding game 3 at the ECAC quarterfinals against Cornell. Cornell took game 1. Colgate obviously took game 2. And in the game, the Cornell Sun, which is their student newspaper, called symbolic of their season, Cornell dropped the game to Colgate, as now Colgate will advance to Lake Placid. Cornell finishes the season at 18-10-4 with their record. And with their record in the pairwise, they're not in contention for any NCAA action. So this effectively ends their tournament bid as well, because record out, they needed. I was looking at the breakdown of the student newspaper, which shout out to the Cornell Sun, because it's a phenomenal student newspaper. It was a great write-up, but it looks like the way all the matching goes into what they needed, that game totally knocked them out. So unfortunate there, but good luck to Colgate as they go forward. And a local Holland Patton grad, who is now a D1 wrestler, has qualified for the 2022 NCAA tournament. Hunter Richards of Cornell will be heading to Detroit later this week. Richard is a current senior and qualified for his second time, this time in the 157 weight class. His last qualifier was in 2020 at 149 pounds, but the tournament was caught in the wave of COVID cancellations. He joins 8 of his teammates who have qualified. And again, that starts Thursday. So local kid doing it cool. And going into a lot of wrestling fans around here. I know there's a bunch of bars around here that will actually show as they go through for that. So that's going to be pretty cool to see a local kid from Holland Patton there.
Yeah.
And I am on my prompter and my mouse decided to take a break, which is not fun. So there we go. NCAA Madness, March Madness, that is here, and it's great to see. When we'll talk about Syracuse at the end, don't you worry. Top seeds were handed out to Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, and Baylor play-in games start tonight for the last 4 teams in, which are Indiana, Notre Dame, Rutgers, and Wyoming. The bubble burst for Dayton, Oklahoma, SMU, and Texas A&M as they were the first teams left off. And oh yeah, Syracuse still sucks. They faced off against Duke last Thursday at the ACC tournament. They needed a win to even qualify for the NIT to be over 500. Cuse looked good in the first half, even with Buddy Boeheim on the bench. Girard got to play his natural position, and I thought he did relatively well. In the end, the final 2 minutes, Cuse just tossed up missed 3 after missed 3, and Duke was able to hold on to their lead. Duke won, and this ends Cuse's season, and they have no postseason action coming up. Jim Boeheim was obviously upset and disappointed with the outcome, and so was I. And, you know, this goes to show one of the things that I don't know if I think it's fair or not, but Boeheim has gotten a lot of grief because he played, you know, he got both of his kids on the team, and, you know, was he being a homer? And Girard was not able to play his natural position because that went to Buddy. And, you know, Buddy's the coach's kid, and he's going to do what he wants to do anyway. But Girard out there playing Duke when they should not have been in that game, looking at the firepower Duke has, he was able to do extremely well. And it would be interesting to me to see if we could rewind the season and put Girard in there and maybe move Buddy out, if that would have done any different. But, you know, 2020 hindsight, and it's just too bad that we got to see Girard play his natural position and light it up like that at what became the last game of the season. Because had that happened earlier and some of the coaching staff around him said, hey, look, this is what we've got, and it's been in prime time that way, maybe the season would have had a different outcome. But
oh, well.
Coach's kid, what are you going to do?
Yep. Well, you play the best players.
Well,
and if he's not, he sits on the bench.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, he was going to play anyway, but it's just when he was up in, he was Glens Falls, I believe. That was the position he played in. When he came to Syracuse, he got moved out in favor of Buddy. Now, I don't think Girard's he's definitely not going to the NBA. You could probably see him in the D League, but it'd be interesting to see what would happen if he played the natural position that he had played for most of his life. But like you said, if he said, no, I'm not going to play, he would have been on the bench, and he would have came in when Buddy was in trouble. So
I just want to make it clear that the cat noises in the background are your cats. They're not me playing the soundboard.
I can't hear anything.
They were going.
I've locked everybody out of my office, and my cat likes to chew cords. I had to actually go buy a new webcam last week because he chewed a nice Logitech webcam up. So that you're probably hearing him trying to come in because
I was hearing that.
I can't hear anything with these, so that's great.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, this is my favorite part. We're gonna go to a commercial break that I get to hear on this end, and we'll come back with a packed professional end.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
See, isn't that special?
It is. It is. And I have a question. Did you have to redo that? Because I noticed that you have the Express in there, which wasn't in there. Nice.
Wasn't in there. Yeah. No, I added some things in, changed it a little bit.
I was going to say that the script that was there isn't the one that I'm accustomed to. So awesome. I still love it.
Yeah, that works. You know, we got My Little Falls Radio in there and the Mohawk Valley Express. Hey, what can I do?
Yeah, exactly. Moving onwards and upwards. And jumping into our professional section of the press box, the Comets hosted the Rochester American. I'm sorry, no, the Comets were at the Rochester Americans over the weekend, and last time they played, I can't read my own goddamn screen. The Amerks won. It was a back and forth game, but the Comets end up losing 3-2 in the final. Utica is still sitting comfortably in first place in the North and first in the Eastern Division to boot. And the Crunch, they're not. And I text Chris Ezzo over the weekend and said, hey, you guys are in 6th place out of 7 teams. That's not a good place to be. And he didn't really have much to say, which makes me very happy.
My quick one would have been, at least I'm not 7th.
True, but they're not going to make playoffs at this point, which also makes me happy. They are in Bellevue tonight up in Canada, facing off against the Belleville Senators. So that's a little bit of a haul. And
tonight being Tuesday.
Tuesday, correct, because we're recording on Tuesday.
Yes, yeah. You didn't say that in the beginning, but we're good.
Didn't I say today is March? I said today is March 15th.
Did you?
You never listen to me. Well, that's true.
Yeah, okay.
That's fair.
All right. Ides of March.
In football news, Brady is back after a 2-month retirement. He has decided that he is going to come back to football. You know who I feel worse for is the guy who paid like $500,000 for his last touchdown ball. Do you get like?
But didn't he end up selling that somehow?
I don't know.
I heard a rumor going around that he ended up selling it after Brady announced he was coming back. So I think he paid $518,000 for that ball?
Something like that. Yeah. I didn't hear if he was able to resell it. That would be a good thing for him, considering it's no longer likely the last touchdown that he'll ever throw.
You know what? I think it still holds its value because of the whole weirdness of the situation.
True.
Did you see the little meme going around on Facebook about Brady? It's like 2 months ago. I want to spend more time with my wife and kids, and then 2 months later, fuck them kids.
I was listening to the Levitard show, and the guys in the shipping container were talking about how Dan goes, I don't understand. He's talking about going over and getting involved in European soccer and becoming part owner in a club. And I don't get how he can go back there. And he goes, and it was Stugotz who said, he goes, it's easy. He was home for 2 months and his wife told him to get the hell out. I was like, that's great.
Yeah. She'd had enough of him. So get back out there. Go make some more money, honey.
I mean, I know we had kind of talked about it offline, and it was interesting to see because Gronk wasn't moving, and some of the pieces you think that would have left Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians was on the record saying that if Brady ever does play again, it would be for him. So it was kind of telegraphed looking back, but interesting to see the shakeup because this had an immediate impact on the free agency market in the NFL. So
yeah.
Jumping to our Dallas Cowboys, because, of course, nothing can be done without them. And what a dumpster fire Jerry's got going on. So
what if we had Brady over there at Dallas?
We would have some more Super Bowls in the case, and they're wouldn't be as dusty because the last one I think we won, I was a kid. So
yeah.
Dallas, Randy Gregory had almost completed a deal with the Cowboys, but now he's heading to Denver. A couple quotes that I had found reading up on this just to get a good idea was, and the first one's from Brandon Gowden. And he said, Gregory, who is ranked second on the Cowboys defense in sacks last year with 6, is instead going to Denver. It's nice to see Gregory following in the footsteps of Broncos legend DeMarcus Ware and realizing he needs to leave Dallas to actually win something meaningful. And I was like, wow. Because when DeMarcus Ware obviously played for Dallas, and those are fighting words. Granted, he's a Philadelphia reporter, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think that did a really good job of speaking to me how I felt because I was pissed off. And the question,
it looks like Denver's trying to be a contender.
Well, now they got Russell Wilson over there. Yep. People are flocking to Denver again. It looks like when Peyton Manning said he was going to go there, people were just going there. They might put another one in the case.
Yeah. Or at least be a strong contender.
True.
Yeah.
And it became questioned why Gregory, after almost having a deal, where it fell apart. And Ed Werder kind of hints to this in a couple of Twitter posts where he reported that owner Jerry Jones had recruited the hell out of Gregory. But the Cowboys, after they had agreement, during the overnight, reportedly attempt to change the contract agreement that they had. After that, talks fell apart, and within hours, Gregory was over at the Broncos.
Yeah,
so
geez.
Jerry did Jerry stuff, and what else is new? So, speaking of DeMarcus Lawrence agrees to a 3-year, $40 million deal to stay at Jerry World, and sticking with Jerry because, of course, we're Cowboys fans here. I think Jerry screwed up with Amari Cooper. Traded him off for a 5th-round draft pick, which is horrible value on return.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, our offense was decently rated, and now we got some holes to fill. So we'll see what they do in the draft. The Bills have secured $1 billion in state money for a new stadium. It was reported by the New York Post this week that the state and Erie County have agreed to pay $1 billion out of a $1.4 billion stadium project. It's nice to know that my taxpayer dollars are going to support a team that can't win the big game. At least our taxpayer dollars here don't have anything to do with Dallas.
Well, yeah, you're not with Dallas, but you know what? There's money flowing down the leash, maybe.
True.
So they put the billion towards the Bills' new stadium, and now all of the stadiums, baseball stadiums, like the Diamond Dogs, they're looking for money. Going, well, if you can put $1 billion into that, how about supporting all the little communities?
Yep.
I saw that
because Pacenti was on there, and they definitely mentioned over here, but all the minor league to do some of the things, like I didn't realize, because I haven't been down to Binghamton in forever, but they showed the picture of their, or a B-roll clip of their stadium, and it's in bad shape there. Yeah. And I mean, I don't get down to Binghamton often because we live here, and I really have no reason to go there. But
yeah,
it's bad.
But you know, it's interesting. I'm going to try and catch Travis and see what the impact is on Veterans Field here in Little Falls. What the impact could be.
Yeah, and I mean, if the money's there and we can tap into it, why not?
Well, it's not there yet.
True. It's got to go through the budget process.
All the county legislators are pushing for $250 million to slide down the leash there. So
take something.
Yep.
And then completing our NFL segment here, charges were dropped last week against Deshaun Watson. It was reported that the grand jury rejected all 9 criminal cases last Friday. There is still civil action pending and an internal investigation as well by the NFL. But this opens Watson up to resume playing, assuming that there's no suspensions that are handed down from the league. He stated that he wants out of Houston, which will be interesting to see how that works out, because he becomes a marketable quarterback in the free agency market that exists. And it was reported that apparently 6 teams have jumped in already, including the Panthers, Saints, Browns, and it's just being reported here that the Falcons are in there as well. He has not played since 2020 when the allegations surfaced. And I found this interesting. I forgot where I read it, but this was basically the damage control quote that was out there. Interested teams are expected to review the case, Watson's testimony that he gave, and qualify the impact on the team in the free agency trade market. So they're looking at what the impact would be to bring him in there. And I mean, you turn on ESPN and you can't go through an NFL segment without his name getting in the top 2 segments there in the A or the B block. So,
right.
Jumping over to baseball. Baseball is back as well. I know Zach Steele was pretty fired up about that because the poor little guy thinks that Boston's actually going to have a chance this year. That's really sad, but good for him. But free agency opened up immediately after the collective bargaining agreement was signed, and it was off to the races. Carlos Correa is the top free agent on the board and remains on the market as of whenever we started recording this, around 4:30. While it looked like he was leaving the cheating Astros, it turns out that he may get a new contract and stay there. So that'll be interesting. Red Sox are in the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes. They joined the Dodgers, Yankees, the Jays, and Rays in that hunt to court him over to their teams. Anthony Rizzo and the Yankees are talking, and that could just kind of make the Yankees stake in the Freeman sweepstakes more smoke and mirrors than anything else. The Yanks picked up Rizzo from the Cubs last year at the trade deadline, and it looks like he may be staying in pinstripes, so that's good. And speaking of the Yankees, there was one of the first blockbuster trades of the year. Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela was traded to the Twins for Josh Donaldson and Isaac Kinner. So everybody's, blockbuster trade after blockbuster trade. The Yankees reportedly will pick up the $15 million in guaranteed money for Donaldson. A lot has been said about the trade, but I really think it's okay. Looking at the numbers, Sanchez has been barely able to keep above 200 and struggle to put a consistent season together. So I'm really okay with the trade. I know there's a lot of other people that are out there saying that this is bad, but let's see what happens and put some new blood in there, because I was never really a Gary Sanchez fan myself. But the biggest loser in the collective bargaining agreement and the saga that it took, it clearly has to be Rob Manfred. I really do think it's time for him to go. He's clearly lost direction. Some of the stuff became personal. He's lost institutional control in a lot of ways, and the respect. Baseball's always been the statesman of the sports. And I think he's lost a lot of that respect that once exhibited there. And I really do think it's time for him to go. I don't think he is going to go, but this whole process really sheds light on a front office at the league that's not being run very well. So we'll see what happens there. NASCAR was in the desert this weekend for the Rough Off Mortgage 500 at Phoenix. Dave watched. I did too.
It's like that's some special thing,
It is, right? When was the last time you watched a whole NASCAR event?
Daytona 500.
I stand corrected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I'm wrong. What else is new? And it was rookies all the way. Chase Briscoe picked up his first win of the season in the number 14 Ford. Ross Chastain picked up second place in the number 1 Chevy, and Ty Reddick was in third with the number 8 Chevy. Rookies really seem to be leveling their advantage as the field adapts to the new cars on the track. Ty talked about that last week on our show. And rookies, they're paving the way. So now I will say, you were, as you pointed out to me, you may or may not have been reading a user manual on a camera book, but you still watched the whole. So I had the whole race.
Yeah, I did.
That's okay.
That's okay.
NASCAR this weekend will be in Atlanta.
That's what we want to watch. Yeah, we want to see that new track.
Absolutely. And in case you missed it last week, we talked to Tyler Head, who is the communications manager down there at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So go check that out. Wish Ty and the crew down there a great weekend. They breaking in their new track. They got a lot of fan festivities. Their social media lit up like a Christmas tree. They're marketing the hell out of this weekend. And as we just pointed out, they're breaking in that new track for the first time since their construction started. Within days of NASCAR being there last year in the fall, they started ripping up the track. I think the Monday or Tuesday afterwards they were out there. So it's got to be a huge weight off their shoulders to finally get that all done and break it in and get back to racing. So,
and what time is that? Something's to 2:30 on Sunday.
Is it?
Eastern, yeah. Pretty sure.
Dropping stuff all over. I've got the schedule right here on my little wall, but apparently everything says 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. So
3 o'clock on Fox on Sunday.
Broadcast starts at 2:30 probably then.
There you go. They'll
go
down driver's row and talk to everybody.
Yep.
Formula One drivers and teams are in Bahrain ahead of this weekend's season opener. The cars were always taken out for a test drive ahead. And they look like they're just having a ball of a time. Some of the teams are still talking about some of the struggles with the new car, but everybody looks like they're having fun. Daniel Ricciardo was one of the more visible drivers on social media during the off season and in the preseason for testing, but he was hit with COVID last week. He is currently in isolation and recovering well, and it was announced earlier today that he will be on the grid Saturday to finish qualifiers and will be set to race. Bahrain Grand Prix is set for 11 a.m. our time to open the season, and I could not be more excited. I have watched all the leading up and looked at all the new stuff they got with the cars. And I don't know. I just find Formula One fascinating. It's all the tech that goes in there, and you talking like, half a pound extra of gas here. And, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But looking forward to that. And the other thing with Formula One is with everything going on in the Ukraine, the Russian Grand Prix was postponed. It was announced by the Formula One ruling body that race has been canceled for the year. And they will find a way to either make it up or they will get a break in the season. So that got switched to officially canceled. And And I'll tell you, I was going to try to go to Miami because they opened up at the a race in Miami this year. Tickets were up and gone within 10 minutes. And now the scalpers on, StubHub and everything are ridiculous. And same thing down in Texas for the one later in the season that's down there. Those were up and gone just as quick. So I will be watching from the comfort of my own home. Besides some of the prices, $2,000. The one in Texas for the grandstands are $2,000 and off, like turned 14 or 15 is like $800. So to see that, 50, 60 something laps, you get to see a car go by and just zoom by. I get it. It's the experience, but it's quite a bit of money. And again, we're just going to end, with, Ukraine. Again, we're offering our prayers to all the people that are over there. It doesn't seem like it's possible that we're still here, but talking that they're still defending, but they're pulling it together. I have seen a couple of broadcasts that were done over the TV networks where they've talked to former vets. They had one on Fox and they had a couple on CNN where they met them at the border and they're talking about them going in. And the one that they had yesterday, I believe it was Fox, was talking about how 4 or 5 guys who were in the Iraq, Afghanistan war after 9/11 were heading over there to go to Kiev. So, our continued thoughts and prayers with those people as they do what they've got to do to defend their country.
Yep.
So, as always, coaches, staff, and players, please send us your sports reporting at Sportsbeat at mylittlefalls.com for updates and highlights throughout the week. Find us on our new Facebook at Sportsbeat with Rob Drumm. For all your local sports news and our podcast home, find us at mylittlefalls.com. For Rob Drumm, here with Dave Warner, we'll talk to you next week.